Hi, and welcome back to Soul Foods by Maximilian. Today, I finally got a weekend break from shooting, so I'm going to show you how to make my mum's delicious lasagna recipe. So first, you're going to need a kilogram of veal and pork mince, about 3 carrots grated, 1 small onion diced, and a big stalk of celery chopped finely. Okay, so first, we need to put together the bolognese sauce. So first, you're going to want to take a large non-stick pan and put it on medium heat. Then you're going to add a drop of olive oil, then add your onions and cook them for about a minute. Now be careful because the onions do like to spit a little bit, so just make sure you're wearing a cooking apron. And just leave them there for a minute before we move on to the carrot and the celery. Okay, now that it's been cooking for a minute, you're going to first add your carrot. Mix it around. And then you're going to add your celery. And mix it around. This will soften them both, and then we'll move on to adding all the sauce. Okay, this is looking good. So now we're going to add our mince. Now make sure to turn it up to high heat, because for the meat, it needs to be quite high for it to brown and to let any water to evaporate. At this point, while the meat is starting to brown, I'm going to add a few cracks of salt and just a bit of fine white pepper. Then you're going to mix it around. Okay, now that we can see the bottom of the pan and most of the water and juice has evaporated, we're going to deglaze the pan with a glass of red wine. We're just going to let that mix around. And this will give it a lot of flavor. Okay, now that the alcohol has evaporated, we're going to add a can of some tomato paste. And then we're going to mix it around.
To the salt.
Now the tomato paste, it gives a really rich texture and flavor to the sauce, and it just makes it a lot tastier and a lot better. Okay, now that we've added the red paste, you're going to turn it down to medium heat, and then we're going to add a whole can of finely chopped tomato. And then mix it around. Okay, now you're gonna want to make sure to break up the lumps because you don't want really big lumps in your sauce. Now, since this isn't a ragu, my mum, she only lets it simmer for 2 hours. So she adds a cup of her homemade chicken stock. But you can buy store-bought. I just add it, and we just do it because then we can flavorize it however we want. Okay, so now we add 2 bay leaves. That'll give it a lot of flavour. We're going to mix it through, and then, okay, so now that you've added the bay leaves and all your ingredients, you're going to cover it and let it simmer on low heat for 2 hours. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. We can see that the sauce, since it's reduced a bit, it's simmering a lot harder now, so you can turn down your heat a little bit if you want, but just every 30 minutes periodically, just move it around a little bit. And then put the lid back on, and then every 30 minutes periodically, just check on it to make sure it doesn't turn into a big clump at the bottom. Okay, so we're at the 60-minute mark. The sauce has been simmering for a whole hour, and as you can see, a lot of the liquid is reduced and evaporated. So to prevent it from going really dry, I'm going to add a little bit more chicken stock. Give it a good mix. May add a bit more actually. Give it a mix. Then I'm going to put the lid back on and let it simmer for another half hour before I check it again. Okay, the sauce is ready. I've turned off the heat, but I like to add an egg when it's finished so that it's creamier. Then you mix it through. Okay, the sauce is now done. We just need to let it cool before putting together our lasagna. And now that our sauce is ready and it's cooled down, we're going to start putting together our lasagna. So first you're going to need pasta sheets, lasagna sheets, mozzarella, parmesan, and your sauce. So for the first step, you're going to take a ladle and you're going to add a bit of your sauce to the bottom of the pan and spread it around. And then you're going to take your lasagna sheets and fill out the bottom of the pan. Then you add more sauce. Try to get an even layer because you don't want big clumps of sauce then big clumps of cheese. You want everything all even. Spread it around. Make sure to get it in the edges. And then we start adding the cheese. So first, you put a good sprinkle of parmesan. And then a good sprinkle of mozzarella. And then you repeat until it hits about the top of the pan. Now if you're making it for a special occasion, I recommend buying those big clumps of buffalo cheese, cutting them up into thick slices, and layering them so that when it melts it's all nice and gooey on the inside. Now here I've got the fourth and final layer, spreading around the last bit of the sauce. And then more parmesan. And the final coating of mozzarella. There. Now, you're going to want to preheat your oven to about 200 degrees, and you're going to put this in the oven for 40 minutes. And once you've taken it out of the oven, let it rest for 5 minutes, and then cut it to how many portions you want, and then you can serve. And that's how you make my mum's delicious lasagna.